Oh. Hello beauties and welcome back to my channel. If you're going to turn off, just turn off. Ugh. Today's video is a little bit of a serious one. It's a little bit different to what I thought I was going to do on this channel, but I've had a lot of questions recently about my experience with mental health and certain things in my life that people have asked some reasonable questions about. So I just thought I would try and cover all of that in today's video. So it was going to be a little bit of a get ready with me, but I thought that maybe it would be better if we just sat down and spoke about the things head on without any interruptions of what I'm doing to my face and things like that. So a lot of people have asked my experience with mental health, what I've gone through and things like that. The earliest I can remember depression in my life was pretty young. I think I was maybe grade prep. I was going through some things at school with a teacher, and I just remembered being very confused and upset and down quite a lot of the time. And I actually moved from that school in primary school and went to another school in grade 2, year 2, whatever you want to say. I didn't notice any signs of depression. I was being bullied at school, but it was just sort of generic verbal things, being called fat, being called ugly. I had things thrown at me in class and things like that, but it wasn't, I was able to handle it. My parents looked after me and I had a great support system at home. But our grade of year 6 was, I think, maybe 7 students, and the school that I was at didn't have a high school in my local area, so we had to travel. So we went from a class of 7 year 6s to 7 classes of year 7s. So I think there was maybe 20 kids in each class. So it was a big change. And from that point on is when things sort of changed for me. I noticed the bullying got a lot worse. There was physical and verbal going on at the time. And year 7 was a big learning curve for me. I didn't really talk to anyone about it, not really even my parents. My mum, she knew that I was suffering, but I never really told her the things that would go on. So year 7, 8 and 9 were really bad, and year 9 especially, because we moved campus. So from year 7 to 8 we stayed at the one, and year 9, because it's apparently the hardest year for students, we got moved to a separate campus where it was just year 9s. And I mean, there was no escape then, there was nowhere to go. It was just everyone in the one area, and a lot of verbal and physical abuse happened at that campus, which wasn't great. The teachers, I will say, in year 9 did the best they could for me by moving me from class to class and things like that, but it never got better and it never improved. And then when I went back into year 10, so we moved back to the old campus, that's when it was really hard, because we were classed as the seniors of the school then. So I was around a lot of the year 11s and 12s, and a lot of things happened that year. That was the hardest year I'd had. Things like, I don't want to talk too much about it, but just so you can get an idea, I would be in my locker, lent in my locker, and they'd boot the door as my head was in it. I had my head flushed down a dunny. I was beaten by about 4 or 5 kids, and teachers would watch. So year 10 was really probably the worst year I'd had. And then a week before the end of year 10, I went to the bathroom and noticed that there was graffiti all over the walls with arias of blank, blank, blank. I don't need to go into it. I think you can imagine what that was. And so I rang my mum, and she came and pulled me out, and that was it. That was the last straw for that school. And I never had any of my friends message where I was, what was going on. And then so I moved to a local school just for high school. It didn't get any better. It was the same sort of thing. I stayed long enough that year to do the DEB, and then I left. And then I thought the next year, nah, I'm going to go back. I'm going to try my hardest. The thing was, I wasn't a horrible kid. I didn't go and provoke things. I was just odd. I was weird. I was very based around performing arts. I wasn't academic at all. So I think anything a little bit out of the ordinary in high school, people sort of jump on and they can leech off you and that sort of thing. And school wasn't meant for me, I guess, and that's okay now. I look at my life and I think, yeah, no, it was probably a good thing that I got pulled out. And so that was my high school. And then when I turned 19, I found out I was dyslexic, which would have been so helpful during school because it made sense. A lot of my problems made sense now because I couldn't do the schoolwork and I never could understand why it was so difficult. And I thought just because I was going through this depression and anxiety that maybe that was a reason I couldn't do my schoolwork, but turns out that there was actually something behind it. So I remember depression and anxiety from a very, very young age. It was sort of always something that was a part of my life. But as I got a bit older, so I think I turned 14 and I went on a band camp, that one time at band camp. So yeah, I went on one of those and everybody knew me for my caterpillar eyebrows. I had these thick things and I loved them, I did. But I went on band camp with these eyebrows and I came back and I had none. So I have what's called Trichotillomania, and I will put that in the description because it is long. And people with anxiety or depression and that sort of thing can often turn to pulling hair out to relieve them of stress. Mine was sort of more of a self-harm thing. Yeah, it was just another way to relieve the tension and the stress. So yeah, I lost all my eyebrows, all my eyelashes, some on the back of my head. But luckily my eyelashes grew back, and that's why I'm lucky to have lash extensions. But my eyebrows never grew back. I think I just ruined the hair follicles. So underneath this, I do have tattooed eyebrows on, which you can notice. And it does bother me. I look in the mirror and I think, is that what other people have made me do to myself? And I think now, if I could have just gone back and told that Aria, don't do it, it's not worth it. In the end, if that stuff didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am today. But I'm very lucky I had the support system that I do have at home, because without that, I don't know where I would have been. When I was 15, I had a plan for suicide. I'd started putting things in bags to go to people of my stuff that I wanted them to have. I'd made a list of things that I wanted people to know and things I wish I could have said to them when I had gone. But luckily my mum was my saviour. And I wouldn't be where I am today without her. I didn't want to cry, but I look in the mirror now and it's so hard to still make decisions based on what 12-year-old Aria heard or 14-year-old Aria heard. And I still look at things, and even when, like, if I go shopping, when I want to buy a dress or buy an outfit, I think back to that 12-year-old mentality of, if I buy that, will someone kick me? If I buy that, will someone make fun of me? And it's sad and it's hard to think that people don't understand that what you do to someone when they're 10, 8, 12, whatever age it is, will still affect them. I'm 25 years old now and I still cannot move that mindset that something will happen if I do this. So, and the hard thing is, like, we all go through things. We all have moments in our life that we wish didn't happen or that are hard. My nan passed away nearly 2 years ago, and she was my best friend. She'd lived with me since I was 3. She was like a second mother, and she passed away. And I mean, as much as all the physical and verbal abuse I'd been through, I think that point in my life was the darkest that I've been. Everyone talks about this dark place and stuff, but it is real. I remember sitting in the car with my ex-partner that I had at the time, and he was driving the car, and I thought to myself, if I could just open this door and roll out, would it matter? Would it hurt anyone? I wanted to be with her so badly that I revisited that thinking pattern in my head that I didn't want to be here anymore, and that where she was a better place because, well, she was there, so why wouldn't I want to go there? And I guess that without depression, that might have been an easier thing to overcome, because depression never goes. It's there every day. I wake up, I argue with myself at least one time in the day about something ridiculous, and how, yes, you should go to the letterbox because the letterbox is 10 steps away and nobody's going to see you. It's so hard. People just think it's a phase, you'll get over it. Oh, you'll be right. Just don't think like that. Like it's a choice that we make enjoyably. Like, we enjoy thinking bad things and wanting to harm ourselves. But I wish I knew then what I know now, And I suppose what I'm trying to do here is just for anybody out there that is struggling, that you can do it. I'm a prime example of that. I might not have gone too in depth about my story and things like that, but I'm choosing to just keep a little bit for myself. I don't want too much out there, and I just want people to know that you will be okay. It will never be 100%. I'm not going to lie to you. Everybody says it gets better. It does, but it will never be 100%, and you'll never be the same. And each day is a new day, and a new day means you get to start all over again. And you're here for a reason. But each weekend, I get to put on some fancy gear and go out in front of a crowd and be that Aria that 12-year-old Aria needed. And I get to be that Aria that year 7 Aria wanted to be but couldn't, because she would have been laughed at, or she would have been beaten up behind the gym. And that is the most fulfilling feeling in the world. And the fact that sometimes when I go out and I'm wrestler Aria and all that, and I look into the crowd and I see people that used to pick fun at me or abuse me, and I think, you've just paid money to come and watch me. Now how does that feel? And I remember I went on the train one weekend up to the city for a wrestling show, and I came across a girl that used to abuse me quite badly, and she looked at me and she stopped, and she had a baby. She looked at me and she stopped, and she looked up and down, and she looked me dead in the eyes, and she goes, "Aria?" And I said, "Yep." And she goes, "I'm so glad to see you." And I said, "That's a bit far-fetched. Let's not get crazy." She goes, "I really thought you would have killed yourself." And to think that she went how many years thinking that maybe that's what I'd done, and I proved her wrong. I'm still here. Look what I'm doing. Look at my life. It's not what I thought it would have been, and I'm so grateful for that. I would love to go to schools and speak to the kids and let them know that you can do it, and also let the other side of them know that whatever you do will affect someone for the rest of their life. A big tool that I used was Beyond Blue and my local community health and my GP. So if anybody needs any help and want to talk to anyone, Beyond Blue have a website. I will link it down below. And please, if you need help, reach out. There are so many people, and it's not just a saying. There are people. You just have to make the first step and go, "All right, I need help, please," and someone will be there. Reach out to me. I don't mind, as long as I can help someone and let them know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So I hope that this video might have been helpful in some way, if not a bit of a learning curve for someone. And if you did enjoy the video, smash a big thumbs up and subscribe, because there's going to be a few more videos. I didn't think I'd do one like this, but I have. So if you'd like to know more, or you'd want a video sort of similar, please let me know, and I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to talk about things, and if this is a way for someone to ask questions without anybody knowing that it's them asking it, then please let me know, because I'm more than happy to help. So I hope to see all of your smiley faces soon. I'm going to send you off with my favorite quote from The Help, which is, "You is kind, you is smart, you is important."